Hey y'all, welcome back to the Worlds of Country podcast. I'm your host Andrew. On today's episode, I'm joined by Brooks Huntley to talk all about his musical journey, his brand new single Mad, and his upcoming album, and so much more. I hope you guys enjoy this one. I know I really did. Talk to you guys on the other side. And also, if you like what you hear on this podcast, be sure to go check us out and give us some support over on Buy Me a Coffee. The link is in the description of this episode. Thank you guys so much again for listening. Talk to you guys on the other side. Hey Brooks, how are you?
I'm fantastic, brother. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. What have you been up to lately?
Oh man, just getting ready for a camping trip for this week, and then heading out to Houston, Texas this weekend to see some baseball games. So it's been a little hectic in between making some songs and doing all the stuff that I normally do.
So when did you sort of know that music was going to be the direction you wanted to take with your life?
Man, it was pretty immediate for me. It was about 10 years old. I picked up Guitar Hero and I got it for Christmas one year. My dad was begging him over and over and over again to come upstairs and watch me play it through the fire and flames or whatever on Guitar Hero. And he came up and saw me playing and he pulled out his real guitar. And just about 30 seconds of watching him do that. And I was like, oh, what am I doing with this stupid controller? I want to be playing that
The
thing.
real thing.
And I really, yeah, never really looked back, man. It was just from that moment on, all I did was play the guitar and sing and write songs and quit baseball, which was the other love of my life. And now I just watch other people be way better than me at baseball, and that's more fun.
You think you picked the right one?
I think so. I think my glass ceiling was pretty low in baseball and athletics in general, so probably picked the right one.
Picked the right one. Those are tough
Yeah.
choices between the
Yeah.
two. It's not like the odds are better in one or the other. They're both pretty long
No,
odds.
I've known a couple guys that have played in the majors now, and I've realized that being a baseball player and being a musician are very similar lives. Um, it's a lot of traveling. It's a lot of not making any money at all until you make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's like a very similar kind of lifestyle in a lot of ways. You have to kind of grind it out and, make your way through the minors, so to speak, in music, just like in baseball.
And you gotta hope for that big break at some point and
Yep.
both. Yeah.
It's a combination of hard work and good timing.
Yep.
So,
And just gotta be ready for it.
yeah.
Yeah. So how would you describe your musical style for people who maybe haven't heard you before?
Yeah. So that's an increasingly difficult question to answer, I think, throughout the years for most artists, not even just myself. But
I'm
I would
sorry.
say for me, oh, you're good.
The door
Do you
just
have like an
opened, so I
animal?
had I had to the door opened, so I had to go shut it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought you had like a cat running away or something.
No.
But yeah, I was saying, man, it's an increasingly hard question to answer, I think, for a lot of artists, what genre they fit into and things like that. Country music's definitely my home. It's where I feel like I belong. But I would say the best descriptor I have is, if John Mayer accidentally grew up on a different timeline and was a 5'9" red-haired kid from Texas who liked country music, that would be my genre.
So how would you have maybe put that more descriptive, that sort of John Mayer-esque sound that you have? How would you describe that for people? What about
Uh,
you is sort of leans into that John Mayer?
so I would say take the songwriting sensibilities, kind of the way that he approaches the structure of a song, take his guitar work and kind of his lyricism and the way that he likes to paint pictures in his particular way. I think I've borrowed a lot of that from his songwriting in his records, particularly the album Born and Raised, which is my favorite album of all time. Taking some of that classic like Neil Young sort of, folksy country thing and adding a little blues infusion to it, and then of course kind of the modern songwriting thing that Nashville does, which has influenced so much of what I do as well.
So did you always know that Nashville was where you wanted to be, or was that something that hit you later on?
Yeah, I think I knew pretty early on. I bounced around a little bit. I lived in LA as a kid doing child acting. I was on one episode of Modern Family, and then I hung that up. Um, didn't love LA even as a kid. And so I knew it wasn't going to be LA, but I thought maybe I'd go up and check out the East Coast. So when I graduated high school, I went off to Berklee College of Music in Boston, And I lasted 2 semesters there. And one day I just called my dad, walking down Boylston Street in Boston, Massachusetts. And I was like, Dad, I got to move to Nashville. And he was like, I know. I've always known that's where you're going to end up. And I dropped out and moved here 6 years ago. Been here ever since.
A lot of times the heart knows what it wants before the brain catches up.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So those early days in town, what was it like for you to sort of get acclimated to Nashville and sort of find the people that you gel with and can trust?
Man, it actually took me a long time. I think longer than most people. I moved here at 19. And at the time that I moved here, I think I was going through a pretty rough, what I didn't know was like extended spell of depression. And that could be for a million different reasons or anything like that. But it was a rough like first 3 years here in town. Um, I was pretty isolated and I didn't really know how to find community here, which I think I've actually met a lot of people that moved to Nashville and experienced that. And it is this big like first hurdle you have to get through when you move here. It's a very small town, but at the same time, like everybody's kind of got their people. And for you to find your lane and all of that can be difficult. But I finally did about 3 years in and just started finding the people that I enjoyed working with. And I think so much of it was taking pride out of it. And I wanted the people that were a couple levels above me to accept me. And I had to let that go and
Yeah.
just, sit with the people that I was with and then grow with those people, which has been what I've been doing. And it's been a heck of a lot better since I started doing things like that.
Yeah, because you want to feel accepted by those higher ups because you want to feel that sort of gives you that sense of belonging in a
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Yep.
So what would you say have been some of the bigger lessons you've learned throughout your time in the industry?
Man, I think probably the biggest one that I've learned in the industry, at least, I've been telling the story, and I'll probably tell the story for the rest of my life. I've got a really good buddy of mine. His name's Charlie, and he plays keys for Parker McCollum. And I've known him since I was a kid. He used to be my piano teacher in high school. He invited me out last summer when Parker was opening for Morgan Wallen to Boston. And I was going to go see them at Fenway Park. And, he and I are both huge baseball fans. And I'd never seen him play a venue that big before. So he was like, dude, come on out. It'd be amazing. So I fly up to Boston. It's my old stomping grounds. I went to school there for a little bit. And Fenway Park, one of the best ballparks in the country. I was thinking, like, this is going to be the most amazing weekend of my entire life. I'm going to see one of my buddies play a baseball stadium at Fenway in Boston. It's going to be incredible. I get there, do the whole thing, go backstage, hang out with Charlie. It's pretty quiet, quieter than you would think. And I'm watching Ernest open up for Parker McCollum. Or I guess no, Ernest went on first, and then Parker, and then Morgan. So I'm watching Ernest up there before Charlie, my buddy, had to go up. I'm standing about 20 feet away from Ernest, who's the guy. It's like I want to be standing where he's standing, right on the baseball stadium stage. And I had this moment where all at once I realized, like, I still want to do this, but even if I was the guy standing 20 feet over there, it's not going to make me feel complete inside. I'm not going to feel whole if I'm standing on that place over there, and I need to go figure out what it is that's going to make me feel whole before I get there. And so, to answer your question, would say one of the biggest things I've learned about the industry is that the industry cannot be your God,
Yeah.
or your savior. It can't be your heart. You have to find what's going to fill your heart, and that's going to allow you to make the best music. That's going to allow you to be the best artist you can be. But you can't be looking for the music industry to save you or make you feel complete or whole.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people sort of have this tunnel vision where they don't see anything outside and sort of lets them live these fake full lives when really they're empty as could be.
Yeah, it is crazy how loud the world can be around you and how quiet it can be when you're standing there and how lonely it can be. So
Yeah.
it's just, to anybody that thinks that having a dream in music and getting it is going to complete you, it's just not. And there has to be something before that.
Do you feel like you've found those outside things that sort of light your fire since that point, or
A little bit. I wouldn't sit here and tell you that I've figured it all out and I feel completely complete inside, but I do know that I'm not looking in the wrong places anymore. Maybe I haven't quite found the right places, but I've stopped looking in the wrong places at the
or
very least.
exploring more? Yeah.
Yes.
So on the flip side of the lessons, what would you say have been some of the bigger challenges you've faced? Which I mean, it
Mm,
sort of leans into the lessons, but
yeah. Man, I think the biggest challenge, I was talking to somebody about this a couple of days ago. Um, Biggest challenge for me in this industry is just the constant rejection. Uh, it's something that I think I actually was prepared for. I'm not going to say that nobody told me. I think a lot of people did. And I just don't know if I really believed how extreme it is to just feel constantly rejected, whether that be face to face by people in Nashville, whether that be just, posting your music and it's not getting any love or anything like that. There's just a constant need to not feel rejected in this industry. And it's for everybody. It's for absolutely everybody I talk to that does what I do. But for me, man, that's the tough thing. You have to learn how to just accept and let that stuff fuel you, which is way easier said than done.
Yeah. It's very easy to take that rejection and feel down all the time, and learning to sort of turn that around the best you can, as difficult as it may be, is
Yeah,
one of the most important things you could do. And also these days with like social media and stuff, we're constantly on display, and that rejection is also even more constant.
yep.
So, have you been able to embrace like the social media side of the industry and how that has sort of exploded with things like TikTok?
Yeah. I think I've been slowly figuring out how to use the internet without it consuming me. That's been my thing because I think it's wrong to paint social media and the internet and what it's done to music. I think it's wrong to paint it as purely good or purely bad.
It's
It's a
somewhere
little
in the
bit of both.
middle. Yeah,
Uh,
somewhere in the
and
middle.
yeah, it's somewhere in the middle. And so if it's somewhere in the middle, then you have to meet it in that somewhere, right? And so it can't be absolutely everything that you do every day. It can't consume your thoughts. It can't consume your creative energy, but you do have to feed it. And there's an element to which like it can absolutely grow and expand your creative horizons. And I think I'm slowly figuring out how to be myself on there, which is something that I think that's the key. If you can figure out how to be yourself without looking like you're trying really hard to be yourself, that is
Sometimes you
the
could
key.
try so hard to be yourself, and it's the most inauthentic thing anyone has ever seen.
Yes,
Yeah,
I've done it. Yeah.
yeah. Because sometimes you just see yourself in the camera, and it's like, who is that person?
Yeah. And it's taken people in my life, like my girlfriend, who will consistently tell me, like, you look weird in this video. Like, you look like you don't want to be in this video. And I was like, well, you're right. So thank you for
Do
saying that.
not want to be there.
And yeah,
But it's like a lot of training to feel
yeah,
comfortable in those spots. But at a certain point, you could be overtrained, and it just comes off as fake.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's one of those things that some people have the gift, right? There's some people that are just so naturally good on a camera on social media and things like that. Just like there's some people that are really naturally good at playing guitar or singing. It's just another tool belt, and like some people have to work really hard to develop the skill. Some people just comes really
just
natural.
comes naturally, and we all
Yeah.
have those skills that come naturally. It's just learning what requires the work and how to put in that work for the other stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So you just released your new single "Mad" on last Friday. Can
Hmm.
you sort of
Yeah.
tell us the story behind that song and how it came together?
Yeah. So Matt is a part of a five-song introduction to an album that's coming out. It's gonna be a five-tier album called The Five Stages of Grief. If you don't know what the five stages are, I didn't until I started working on this project. It's denial, anger, which is where mad comes in, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Those are the five steps. And this is step two. I started off with denial, a song called Someone's Gotta Win. Now we got mad. And then we're going to have three more coming up, and then a full album that's going to kind of tell the whole story. Um, Mad was the hardest one for me to write, honestly. And it was the last one that I wrote because as angry as I feel like I am sometimes, I was telling somebody the other day, it's hard for me to express anger, especially in a song, because anger is also the most shameful emotion I have. Um, and I feel like I don't deserve to be angry, or maybe it's not good for me to be angry, or it's going to make me look bad. And so it was kind of an uphill battle to write this song. And I think I toyed around with writing it from a bunch of different perspectives, but ultimately we ended up with Mad, which was just that moment when you're looking back on the relationship and you're realizing, you know what? Maybe it wasn't all my fault. Maybe it was a lot of her fault too.
I think like in the moment we're also trained to blame ourselves, and then you look back a few months later and you're like, oh, maybe it wasn't my fault after all. or at least not
Yep.
all of it.
Yep. Absolutely.
So was this album, was it based off of real life experience or?
Yeah, it is and it isn't, right? So the way that this whole thing came together was I was looking at my catalog of songs that I had written over the last 3 years. All of them are based at least a little bit on real experiences. They're not all based on one relationship or one single experience, but they're based on all of my experiences. And I didn't actually write the album on purpose. I looked at my tracks that I had written over the last 3 years and realized I had a story that was just all there. And
By
so it was an
accident.
after the fact thing. Yeah. And I just looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a cohesive 15 song album right here. It all makes sense together. And that's kind of how we reverse engineered it. And so, yeah, it is based on true stories, but not one true story, many true stories.
So it just hit you one night that you have an album here, huh?
It was in the middle of a team meeting with my manager, Erland, and with Becca Bishop. We were just talking and um, I was looking at my tracks and I was like, guys, I think we have an album. And we started just going and going. And what was supposed to be a 45-minute meeting turned into a 3 hour meeting. And next thing you know, we're putting out an album. So, yeah.
So how long ago was the first song written, and how long ago was the last song written?
So, like I said, Mad is the most recent one. I wrote Mad literally 3 weeks ago. I wrote it right before I put it out.
Wow.
So that's the most recent. And I think the oldest one is probably a song called Letterman, which is going to be the next one. And I think that one's about 2.5, close to 3 years old.
So I want to do a little rapid fire with you before I let you go, if that's cool with you. Okay, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's do this thing. Waffles or pancakes?
Waffles, 100%.
If you could, if you had to choose between never writing a song again or never performing again, which would you pick?
Never writing.
That's shockingly most people choose the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, dream venue to play.
Uh, oh shoot, what is that? Any baseball stadium, probably Minute Maid Park. Yeah,
Oh, Texas. That makes sense.
yeah.
If you could only eat one thing the rest of your life, what would it be?
Greek food, euros.
If you could only listen to three artists the rest of your life, who would they be?
John Mayer, John Bellion, and Rustin Kelly.
Good mix there. Good mix.
Yeah.
If dream collaborator, dead or alive?
Dude, this is a weird one because it's not country at all, but John Bellion for sure.
He's so amazing.
He's so good.
Yeah. I feel like he's not as big as he should be either. That's the
Yeah, and I think
crazy
he
part.
likes it that way.
I
He
think
likes it that way.
that's by design. Yeah.
Yep.
Would you rather be itchy all the time or sticky all the time?
Itchy.
Yeah. And finally, would you rather have 20 fingers or 20 toes?
20 toes. That feels like that would like help me out in life a little bit. I don't know. Feels like I'd have better balance or something.
They'd have to be on your hands instead of the fingers. They wouldn't be on your feet.
Well, no, I still stand by it. 20 toes.
Those, I think it would just look like too clunky. You'd have
I
these
don't know how
huge
well I would
fingers.
play guitar that way, but yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people say 20 fingers so that they could play the guitar better.
Honestly, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Play guitar with your feet.
And
You play two guitars.
get a lot of tips that way as like a street performer. Look at this guy with 20 fingers. Well, thank you so much again
Yeah.
for taking the time for this.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it
Of
so
course.
much.
I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much again.
Yeah. Have a great day, my friend. All
You
right.
too. Bye. Hey, y'all. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in. If you liked what you heard from the podcast, be sure to check us out on social media at Worlds of Country on all platforms. Hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening. And if you liked what you heard from Brooks, be sure to go check him out on social media and check out his music wherever you listen to music. I hope you guys like this one. I know I really did. Talk to you guys next time.